Hi everyone, this is Adrian at 18 Echo SF. As some of you know, I've made a number of videos with my Kimber Pro Carry 2, the stainless model, when I made the modification to the guide rod where I switched the stock Kimber full-length guide rod captured assembly to a Wilson Combat GI style guide rod, and it's basically worked perfect. Originally, I thought that maybe I was getting some additional wear on the aluminum frame because I switched it out, but I eventually figured out that really wasn't the case, and the gun works beautifully either with the stock full-length guide rod or that GI style. And then just about a week and a half ago, I found out about another product that Wilson Combat had come out with, which is a flat wire recoil spring with a replacement with a full-length guide rod for the 4-inch guns, and including this particular pistol. So I thought I would just kind of go through the progression of what I did originally and how I went to that GI style guide rod, and then how I tried yesterday to use the Wilson Combat piece, which, as you'll see, did not work out very well. So anyway, and again, I know you've seen me do this several times, but so for those of you that are going to be bored, sorry about that. Anyway, as most of you who own these pistols know, or if you don't have this pistol, to field strip it, you have to use this little L tool to capture the spring so you can remove it. So anyway, to do that you have to lock the slide back, as most of you are, or all of you are aware, and you take this little tool and it gets inserted into a hole that is in the side of the full-length guide rod. Then you release the slide, move the slide forward to the slide stop notch, remove that, turn the pistol over, remove the frame, and lift the barrel link up, and then just kind of remove the entire guide rod assembly, which is the guide rod, full-length guide rod, the guide rod plug, and the spring. And when I used to take this apart to clean it, this was really a bear to get apart. So I found out about this great tool. For any of you that don't have this tool and have Kimber Pro Carries, I highly recommend you buy this. It's from a company called NZD, I believe, NZD Performance. It's really cheap, and it is so handy to use. It just saves you your fingers and your the palm of your hand from getting this thing apart. So you basically just, you put it in and you squeeze this part with your hand and pop the spring out, and then release this slowly, and the assembly comes apart: guide rod plug, the spring, and the full-length guide rod, all three pieces. And it's a really handy tool. So no matter what you do, if you don't do anything to your pistol like I've done, I recommend you get this tool. So it's just a piece of Delrin plastic, I believe, and with a hole in it, and works just fabulous. So anyway, what I did originally to change mine out and make the modification, I bought another guide rod plug because I wanted one that wasn't dinged up by the little tool, and I got that direct from Kimber. And then I tried a number of different springs, but they didn't really work very well. So I then figured out that if I use the stock Kimber spring with the Wilson Combat guide rod, that it would work perfect. This guide rod's really nice, the GI style one from Kimber. It has this nice little groove in it that allows the barrel link to settle right into that spot as the gun's cycling. And you'll notice the stock Kimber one does not have that, you know. I mean, it works fine, but I just thought I'd, you know, point that out. So, you know, I just took the stock spring with the stock Kimber guide rod plug and the Wilson Combat GI guide rod, and decided to give that a try, and it actually worked perfect. And you know, you just have to kind of walk this back, and then you capture this with your finger, and just hold it with your finger when you're putting the frame back on. And as you position this back on, just make sure that you don't pinch your finger when you let go, you know. So, and then just position the, you know, move this so the barrel link is, is clear. And there we go. And then move the notch back to the notch in the frame and snap that guy in. And this gun is ready to rock. So, and it's worked perfect, and I really loved it. But I happened to find out that Wilson Combat had released this kit. It's kit number 651. It's a flat wire recoil spring instead of being rounded. You know, I don't know if you can see how flat it is. It comes with its own full-length guide rod, which is considerably smaller in diameter than the stock Kimber one, because it needs to be that way to fit into this spring, which the stock Kimber one will not fit in this spring. So they supply their own guide rod, and it comes with its own guide rod plug, which according to the video they said is machined to very tight tolerances, and they supplied this to work with the new, you know, guide rod. This, however, became the issue, which I'll show you in just a second. So let me take this apart again. Yeah, and when you take this apart with the GI guide rod, you just need to be careful when you're pulling the frame off, because this thing will have a tendency to bow back out. So you want to make sure it doesn't snap out on you. So I'll take the stock spring, you know, back off, and I'll remove the guide rod plug. So this is the way the gun was yesterday when I decided to try the new Wilson Combat part. And I got stopped right in my tracks right in the very beginning, because when I attempted to insert the guide rod plug that Wilson supplied, it goes in that far, and that's as far as it will go. It will not, and I pushed on this and pushed with reason to try to get it to work, and it just will not go into the shroud on the slide. So needless to say, I was pretty disappointed. You know, the spring is supposed to have about 10 times the life of a standard spring, and I thought that would be real nice. I would not have to change it out quite as often, and that it might work really well. But needless to say, it did not work, and I've already sent Wilson a message asking for a return authorization to return the product, because I don't think I should have to modify that piece at all to work. So that's kind of my story, and if you decide to make similar changes, you might want to wait until I make possibly, you know, another you know, video, you know, concerning this swap out, you know. So anyway, and like I said, I have switched back and forth on using, you know, the different guide rods, and I still really like, you know, the short GI style guide rod, just because it makes it just you know, a lot easier to field strip this. You know, if you're out taking a training class somewhere, you don't have to bring like that little tool to disassemble it. Not that you would necessarily disassemble that when you were out in the field, but you know, if it got dirty and got grit and everything in it, you might. So you know, the short guide rod really works extremely well, and I've been very pleased with it. And like I said, I've used both, and but just from a use standpoint, being able to tear the gun down quickly out in the field, it just seemed like this was the better choice. And you know, there's been no, you know, no proof that a full-length guide rod is any more accurate than a excuse me, than a GI style guide rod, and I would tend to agree. I've been shooting 1911s for quite a number of years, and I really can't, you know, tell the difference. Maybe someone who is a better shot than I would be able to do that, but from my standpoint, that's not really the case. So if you have any questions or any comments, you know, feel free to leave a message in the comments section, and I'll be glad to answer it. So stay well and safe out there, folks.